and then Cheremisinov. Enzo LEFORT, well, he came through Borontov, Pauti, Van Haster, and Tofalides. A Cypriot fencer having the best day of his life so far at Senior World Championship, World Cup. And here, refereeing things, it's Willem Mada from Czechia. We're going to play this back for years to come, aren't you, Richard? The day I told Karen Bashir a fake name for the Czech Republic.
It does sound unbelievable, but it's actually true. Needed rebranding though.
Well, first blood to Enzo LEFORT. So Richard,
attack left, I would go. I'm surprised. Is he going to call the video?
Doesn't, and so LEFORT 2-0. Richard, you've been here many times on the podium piste. When you get here, this is going to sound like such a glib question, but I do mean it in all seriousness. Are you kind of like, I'm here now, I've made it, I've got a medal, I can relax, and
yeah, that's where I went wrong in the Olympics.
Yeah. The Olympics is a different story, but
of course, I mean, you're right. There's always that guaranteed medal, the equal bronze in a usual World Cup event. So you are right. You've already produced some kind of decent result. As I said earlier, you just have to blank it out and just think about what you're doing here and now, every hit as it comes.
But is there an element? I mean, we talked earlier when you were sort of saying about blanking stuff out. We talked about high pressure situations earlier on in the competition. When you get here, can you? Does the pressure release to some extent because you've already got that bronze medal confirmed, and therefore you can relax into your fencing?
It potentially does. I mean, I think the most nerve-wracking match is your first one because you don't know how you're going to be playing that day, and then you can sort of settle into it. The important thing is not think of the outcome, not think of, oh, I just need this one more hit to get to the final, this hit to win. You just think about doing it.
Yeah.
If you think of the outcome, then it'll take your mind off the fencing.
Oh, here's SAFIN now having the difficulties, technical difficulties that in Bonn had. Perhaps it's the left-hand side of the piste.
It's a different technical difficulty though, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
An off-target light. And Bonn couldn't get a light.
So, yeah, we've gone from no lights for racing Bonn to a permanent light for Timur SAFIN here in the second semi-final. Did he change his weapon then?
I think he may have done.
Yeah, he did. He must have surrendered that one to the assistant referee because I didn't see him handing it over to Willem Mada. So this is the second semi-final of the Bonn Men's Foil World Cup 2017.
Oh, that's so lovely.
Of this semi-final, and that's lovely. The first hit there for the Russian.
Lovely fake disengage around the cart line. Oh, wonderful. And that's the trick. When you're at close quarters, you have to just keep fencing the match. A lot of fencers would have given up there, just gone for the corps, but SAFIN carried on, got a counter riposte, and scored the point. Fantastic fencing.
Yeah, but there's been a challenge, and Willem Mada has gone to consult the video.
If the fencers aren't touching, then you can still keep going, in theory, until the referee calls halt. You have to be able to fight in a phone box in this game.
Do you specifically train for that? So when you're taking your sort of individual lessons with your coach, do you do
absolutely,
close quarters?
Yeah. And we used to have games where you'd start toe-to-toe, and you'd have to win the phrase from there.
Right.
It's a good skill to have.
We've got another off-target light here for SAFIN, so I'm wondering if it's not the foil, is it the body wire? Permanent white light means there is a break in the connection to the scoring apparatus, which is why we see a permanent white light, and I think that may well be the body wire. So save the breaks that happen whilst fencing, which is normal. You've got equipment attached to you that can break. What else could this be? Could it be a fault with any of the actual scoring equipment?
Well, yeah, you have to trace it all the way through from the foil through the body wire, through the ground lead, the spool, to the box. It could be anything. There are so many components. If there's a short circuit in any one of them, then it's going to cause an off-target light. You just have to find out what it is. Or sometimes it could even be a combination between the two things, like the body wire and the foil.
Well, we've seen that SAFIN has surrendered one weapon to Willem Madder, right? He's replaced it with a new one, and the white light's gone. So you have to assume then that it was the foil that had broken.
Wonderful attack. Long lunge to chest.
LEFORT is ranked number 16 in the world. He's only won one World Cup, and I'll come back to why I say
that was
only.
Paris, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I'll come back to that in a second. But Timo SAFIN, he's also a single World Cup winner, but also won the European Championships as well. And as Richard said earlier on, the 24-year-old Russian is on the form of his life and he's ranked number 3 in the world. But say one World Cup, and with some surprise about Enzo LEFORT. Two seasons ago, he was up in number 2, number 3 in the world.
Yeah, he was performing brilliantly. He got a medal from the World Championships in 2014. He won Paris, the best World Cup to win. He really was on top of the world. And then it did dip a little bit, I think that's fair to say, but he's still got it in him.
He's an elegant fencer to watch as well. He's, like we said earlier on, he moves a lot, but also he's got shades of sort of classic French upright.
And incredibly athletic as well. In fact, he reminds me a bit of Brice Guillard.
Yeah.
The 2004 Olympic champion. Incredibly mobile, strong.
Oh, what a beautiful counter riposte. Setup or reaction?
I'd say a reaction, my gut feeling.
So you can set up, I asked Richard with his setup, you can do something called second intention in fencing. You lay a trap effectively. You do something to make your opponent think that that's what you're committing to force something from them, and then you respond off what they do. In that case, it was a genuine failed attack, and his hand speed was so quick he was able to stick in a parallel post.
Oh, wonderful. Held his cool all the way to the back line, took up a cease parry, and then started slowly, placed it well on the chest. Class.
Compound riposte, so fake to one line, went to another. Two semi-finals. First one very one-sided.
Now he's given that one preparation. I think Timo SAFIN's going to challenge that. The only trouble is when you challenge that kind of call on video replay, when the video judge watches it in slow motion, I think it's generally going to count against you more than help you.
Because any pause will look even longer on a slow motion.
Yeah, that's right. And he's retained his decision. I think that was right. I think SAFIN just held on to the timing too long. He broke the time.
So they both had one video appeal overturned. They both have one left. So you're watching the second semi-final here of the men's foil Bonn World Cup.
This time it was one attack to shoulder on Timo SAFIN, so he gets the point.
So trying to find his way back into the fight, and with me, Karen Bashir, in the commentary box is Richard Cruz, Great Britain's world number 5 men's foilist. Oh, and another off-target light from the Russian. Maybe this was just a touch of the tips. These two have been in a big tussle, which at the moment very much in the favour of the French fencer, but actually in their head-to-head, they've only met twice, believe it or not, previously in major ranking events, and it's SAFIN who has a 2-0 lead in the head-to-head. So we had an overturn for the 6-1 between Imboden and Jopik in the first match, and here looks like LEFORT is doing his best to get his own back on someone that he normally loses to.
Absolutely, and it's also a very high-scoring match, I should point out. Look, it's
The second one.
Already 10-4 in the first period. Halfway through the first period. Quite a pleasure to watch.
So we're going to have another change, and it is, in fact, the body wire of the Russian that's being changed. And I wonder if that was one of the factors in this white light technical issue that we've been having.
Yeah, perhaps when the sweat gets into it, it's obviously very corrosive, and that can sometimes ruin the copper inside. So maybe it's slightly broken. It's an intermittent fault.
Well, he's changing the weapon, sorry, the wire now. So we've got a moment to talk. Look, we talked about 6-1 that Imboden had on a head-to-head against Yopik, and Yopik overturns it. 2-0 SAFIN. Okay, not as big, but he's won every fight that he's had against Enzo LEFORT in the world ranking list. Do you have bogey opponents? So are there ones that you just can't beat them? I just don't know how to beat them. I've tried many times.
Of course you do, and it works both ways. I mean, I've always had some people that were not as good as me that I couldn't beat, but then conversely, there were some people that were a lot better than me, significantly better than me, that I beat consistently. So it works both ways in fencing. Just a clash of styles.
Yeah, the one thing that you can't change is what your opponent's going to do, because only they can do that. And that's the beauty of the sport, isn't it? You can have all these elements and all these fantastic tools and weapons and shots and movements and tricks, but the one thing you can't guarantee is what your opponent's going to do.
Or who your opponent's going to be as well. It's almost chaos theory, isn't it, as to how a fencing tournament ends up.
And it makes the sport so magical.
I mean, what I've noticed is that some of the matches in the last 64 are of such a good quality, they're almost as good as the final. There are that many world-class fencers now on the planet.
And it's spread over the planet as well. Using the word planet is brilliant, because, okay, look, the traditional domain of the top fencers was Europe, but now you just cannot say that. We have champions from Africa, we have champions from Asia, from the Americas, all contending. And along with that, the different styles that we've talked about a number of times today, the fact that the Koreans kind of deconstructed fencing a few years ago and then rebuilt it in their own image.
Oh, absolutely. And if you remember back to the London Olympics, I think the Koreans were second on the medals table in fencing to the mighty Italy. They had a fantastic championships.
SAFIN just can't find a way through LEFORT. He's now calling for Villamada to, well, I didn't call for a video, but he's asking about covering. Covering is where you bring your back arm over the valid target area. You're not allowed to do that, or indeed if you turn your shoulder.
And what's interesting about that is that if he would have got the call for covering and he would have hit off target, then sometimes the referee converts that into a valid touch, because it's deemed that the arm is in front of the valid target area. Oh, he's fighting his way back in here, 6-10. Still just the first period as well.
Yep, again another fast fight, another quick one, a high-scoring battle. I think we are going to see the break here, but we're not going to see the third period, almost certainly.
Oh, wonderful.
The explosive nature is what won the day there, wasn't it? The fact that he was able to change from those 2 beats and then find that faint disengage with an explosive lunge. And again, we're talking about Chandler Watson being long and deceptive. Enzo LEFORT's got a beautifully long lunge.
Yeah, and a long wingspan as well. And I think he's a little bit more mobile than Chamley as well. Oh, wonderful.
He's making this look easy when he wants to. Before having his, SAFIN having his weapon checked. If that had not worked, then referee Villamada would have had to annul the hit. But here, this is another masterclass, right?
Well, he's still got to finish it. But yeah, up until now, wonderful fencing to watch. Just what I thought as well, very mobile. Oh, there we are. Enzo jumped in the air, took a gamble, a large parry, but he missed the blade. Therefore, Safin had the priority, but he didn't hit on target. So they reset where they are.
We say he took a gamble, but to some extent it was a bit of a calculated risk, wasn't it? Because he was on the back line, and he kind of, if he stepped back any further, he would have given a hit to his opponent.
Well, yeah, that's the problem. When you're in the back line, you are in a bit of a difficult situation.
Trying to push.
Now
He jumps in the first time.
The attack from Safin. I agree with that.
Yeah, so Enzo LEFORT jumps in, but doesn't finish the attack, jumps backwards. That opens the door for Safin to get the right of way or take his turn. And even though Enzo LEFORT was very quick back up for his second attack, Safin had already started. So can he get back in this, the Russian? Well, he's got a minute's break now to have a chat with his coach. Look, what does Safin have to do here? Because it seems to me like if Enzo LEFORT wants to score a hit, he can score a hit. So what has Safin got to do?
Well, I think Safin's trying to press him a little bit too much, and he's not having too much success. If I was Safin, I would draw Enzo LEFORT to my end of the piste and try and fight him in the back quarter, because Safin he's got the time. He's got 2 periods on his hands, and he's just taking the fight to him too much and not getting the success. What do you think?
Well, definitely got to be a big change for sure. But the only slight flaw I see in your plan is that
he's got the lead.
Oh, he's got the lead, and so he can play with time. But the other thing is, when he wants to attack, LEFORT seems to be able to hit Safin at will. So it's a real pressure situation for the Russian here, because if he does back off, does he open the door to the attack from the Frenchman? And if he doesn't, is he going to continue getting hit like he did in the first period?
Yeah, and as as I pointed out, he doesn't have the lead on his side, so he's going to have to go eventually. But I would try and draw him out, try and coax him out of his shell, and hit from defence.
It's got to be something different for sure. Well, here we go. That minute goes so fast. Safin has backed away, and he's got a hit on the counter-attack.
See, told you.
Well, that's why you're here, just to tell me what's going to happen next. Now, I suppose if he does this again and gets another hit, maybe 2, then he can start perhaps varying it back to showing a bit more pressure.
Potentially, and I think the thing is, oh, wonderful. Safin does like pressurising the opponent. He doesn't commit, but he gets the distance. He's just outside distance, and he likes to pressurise the opponent all the way to the back, just creeping up on them. So I think backing off is not really Safin's game. Well, we've got a fight on our hands now.
Certainly
3
have.
points in it.
Remember, this is the second semi-final of the Bonn Men's Foil World Cup. An attack off target there from Safin.
He just managed to hold on to the right of way there. He was pushing his luck a bit, but he just held on to it. Attack off target.
Safin back off the piste. He's got to come down off the piste because he wants to straighten his weapon, and you're not allowed to do that on the metal surface of the piste.
Why is that, Bash? Is it because you might damage the piste?
You might damage yourself. No. Why is that, Richard? Yeah, I'm
That's
supposed
a
to
good
ask you the
question,
question.
I think
Is it something to do with the earthing on the piste, and that it could potentially create a dead spot on the piste?
Ah, maybe you're right. Yeah. Yeah, maybe it could damage the piste if you bend it on the piste. So you have to bend it off the piste, otherwise you'll be in the book. 10-12.
Oh, does LEFORT pick up the blade and get the right of way?
Attack good. And I can tell that because Safin turned, so his body language told me that he was the counter-attacker. Davai, Safin, davai.
You're cheering on the Russian fence. Oh, off target light there, I think on the forearm of Safin. Enzo LEFORT just landing the feint rather than putting it into a non-target area.
So there, Safin fleshed past. LEFORT took his go. He has the right to do that, but Safin can still parry. He can't riposte once he's gone past, but he can still parry.
So Enzo LEFORT having to straighten his weapon. Not allowed to have too big a curve in it. This will go on to fence Peter Yopik in the gold medal match. The loser will share a bronze medal with Ray Simboden of the USA. Yeah, the attacks start at the same time there. Referee doesn't separate those. You have to have a clear advantage on the start of the attack to get the right of way.
Oh, yeah, SAFIN took up the timing, but just off the post.
There's a bit of turn of the body there from Enzo LEFORT, enough to get that hit to land off target.
Oh, now that's a bit careless. And it's checkmate in one. Oh, wonderful.
Can't
riposte the shoulder. Very skillful move.
Not out of this. They still can do this, the Russian. It was looking very one-sided earlier on. Enzo LEFORT had control of the match entirely, but slowly but surely SAFIN's got himself back into this. He can't make any mistakes like that. He can't get away with too many mistakes like that, but he's definitely not a write-off. Is there a pause there?
That's attack from the Frenchman, in my opinion.
Right, so Richard Cruz of Great Britain has called that as attack to the Frenchman and a winner of this second semi-final.
And the Russian coach is giving us a little wry smile there. He overheard me.
Yeah, and I think that Villamada is having a look at the video, but it looks to me like they are going to give this to LEFORT, and you're quite right, Richard Cruz. Villamada comes back, and he has called it as nothing.
Together. Well, I think one thing it couldn't have been was simultaneous.
Well, it looked to me like a potential hesitation, and then the attack from SAFIN. You thought it was attack from LEFORT. There's nothing in between those two things apart from simultaneous.
I think the referee bottled that one a little bit.
Is there an element of the referee and the video referee not being able to agree? So they had the same
if
dispute
they don't agree,
as we had, and therefore they give
potentially
nothing?
Potentially yes.
Well, lifeline for SAFIN.
Attack Ramiz there. I tell you what, if SAFIN could score one more, then he's going to put the pressure on a bit.
Parry riposte.
And where did that end up? Looked like it was on his lame. Oh, we've got the white light.
Came off the mask maybe all the way through.
Oh, lovely flesh. Broken time attack flesh. Got LEFORT out of structure and hit.
Well, LEFORT's found himself back on that back line looking for that big parry again because he's not got anywhere to go. So surely LEFORT has to stay out of that area of the piste. Goes for the attack. They both miss. Now,
but the referee's called halt here. So that's a bit of a lifeline there for Enzo LEFORT. The referee did call halt. I saw it.
SAFIN seems relaxed enough about that. I think I would be a little bit more angry about not getting a single light hit. 13-14 down. SAFIN.
Oh my goodness me, what a gamble. I think if that had been two lights, that probably would have been LEFORT's.
Well, it's a big sweeping of the blade from the Russian, but he lands a single light. 14 apiece, 1 point to go to the gold medal match.
Oh, it's there. The attack's good from the right.
The referee has given that. You're normally obliged to go to look at the video, but I think
there's no protest. There's no protest from either